I'm Morgan Boyevich from Little Wildflowers Art Studio, and we are here to teach you some tips and tricks on how to safely use a low-temp hot glue gun. I have two assistants with me tonight. Do you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Violet and I'm 4.5. I'm Sailor and I'm 7.5.
Yes.
And how old are you?
And I'm 32 and a half. So first what I want to say is this is only about low temp hot glue guns. It must say low temp. They're usually a smaller size, not always. This one's by AdTemp, which you can't see because we've used it so many times, but it's a brand called AdTemp. And if it's not low temp, none of these rules that we're going to share with you apply because it will just be way too hot of a gun. The second thing I need to tell you is that it's really important that you know your child. I'll say this, both of my girls started using these hot glue guns when they were 4 years old, and they do really, really well with them. At first, I sat with them a lot while they got the hang of it, and then they kind of learned the limits of the gun and how the gun works, and then they're fine now. They don't need my help anymore at all. But I will say that we're dealing with electricity and we're dealing with something that is hot. So, you know, you have to know what their limits are. Is this something that would be a good tool for them or not? I actually have seen, I've taught, hold on, okay, just a minute. I've taught hundreds of kids between the ages of 5 and 12 how to use glue guns. And it's one of the most prized tools in my art studio because it really empowers them, and I think that it actually helps them to become a little bit more mature because they're using something that's more of an adult tool. Yes, Violet, what would you like to share?
Okay, so a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old can, if they don't have a grown-up close by them and they just do it by themselves, they can burn them.
Yeah, that would probably hurt them. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because they are babies.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we have 6 little...
And they're little.
And they're little. So we have 6 little tips for you that we wanted to share that we thought were important for you to know. Number 1 is we wanted to show you how it works. So this is the glue gun. This is the tip that is the hottest part. However, as you can see, I'm tapping it.
This is where
Sailor, will you tap it? Will you tap the tip, Violet? You don't want to. Well, it's warm when we do this, but it's not.
And
if I were to let my finger sit on there, it would hurt a little bit, for sure. So we are careful not to do that, which nobody ever has wanted to do that. Be careful with the table. Also, this is where the glue sticks go. To use a glue gun, you have to have these little sticks, and they go in this little hole back here. They fit perfectly. You have to make sure you get the mini glue sticks for the mini glue gun. Bigger glue guns take bigger sticks. They're not always low temp, so you have to check. So you just stick your glue stick back here in the back. This is the squeezer. This is what you squeeze when you want glue to come out. So if you need to glue something, you take this, squeeze it, and the glue comes out.
But you have to do it fast, or else the glue would dry.
And the glue dries very quickly. Yes, it does. Okay, so the second thing is the parts to touch and the parts not to touch. This is a safe part to touch. Everything is a safe part to touch. But
except for that.
Yeah, we don't recommend leaving your fingers on that.
Or putting your fingers inside of that.
Yeah, of course, we would never, no one has ever done that in my art studio. Okay, the third thing, what do we do if you get glue on your skin? Like let's say you're gluing something and you get some on your finger. Show us, what do you do?
Rub it off. Yeah.
Immediately.
Ow. Or blow it and then rub it off.
Exactly.
Blowing actually doesn't really help.
Yeah, so don't blow it. So if you get glue, so immediately if you're putting some glue, watch this. you're squirting some glue and you go to sit something on there and you accidentally touch it and you get it on your finger, sometimes kids want to panic and say, ah! Before you panic, don't panic.
Before whatever you're gonna do.
All you need to do is wipe the glue off. Just get the glue off. That's the most important thing, is to get it off. And then, and literally it hurts for a little second, not even really, and then it's gone. Like it doesn't even, you don't even feel, once the glue's off, you don't feel a thing. It's like this magical, crazy thing.
Like a fairy tapping your head.
Yeah, like a fairy tapping your head. Okay, so the next thing, the fourth little tip, is to be really cautious about where you sit your glue gun while you're working. If you're on a table and you're kind of by yourself, if there's like only one or two of you, then it's pretty safe. We always use these, we call them glue gun stations, where we'll use something like this, or a plate, or a terracotta pot.
Is this my sunshine?
Yeah. To leave your glue gun on while it's resting. Excuse me, girls. To let your glue gun rest, because I will say one time somebody left a glue gun on the floor and somebody sat down and their leg laid right here on the tip, and that was very uncomfortable. That hurt her. So to avoid any of those injuries, we make sure that we put them in our glue gun stations. Okay, so I'm always saying glue gun.
On your glue gun station.
Yeah, and I'll say glue gun check, and I'll make sure that everybody has their glue guns in their glue gun station so we avoid those injuries. Also, you have to be really cautious because it's a cord. So you would never want your cord, like if you were working over here, you would never want it to be like stretched across where someone could trip. A grown-up has to make sure that it's safe. I will sometimes tape them to the floor if it's an area where somebody might walk, okay? The fifth tip is to always squirt the glue on the big item. So let's say, Violet, you want to, let's start squirting. Let's make our little flower here that we were gonna make. So here are your three petals.
First, I'm gonna do it.
You guys can do it at the same time. So here are your 3 petals, and here are your 3 petals. So these petals are not too big, too small. So you can just squirt some glue on there and then turn it over, Vi. Go ahead and put it where Sailor's making the flower, which is a little high for the camera. I'm gonna pull it down. Okay, now when you're tapping it down, you can feel it's warm through the paper, but it's not burning or anything.
Yeah.
So just stick them right on.
Doesn't really hurt either.
Now when it's time to glue the middle of the flower, what is some, so as you can see, these girls are pros. I can pull it down so we can see a little better. There we go. You guys can watch them doing it. They're just squirting the glue. Now Sailor is...
And so if I don't have a glue stick, I put it in.
Yeah, you just sit it in there. Whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't pull it out. You just sit the glue stick right in there. And watch, if you turn it upside down, it's gonna fall out. You just leave it.
Like this glue gun does not have a glue stick in.
Yeah, it needs
So
one.
you need to put one in.
Yeah. Just like in that little hole right there. Now sometimes kids will try to push it and they'll say, it's not going in. You don't need to push it. You just let it sit there.
Yeah,
and
because
if you push it, glue will start squirting out. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need to push it.
And you wouldn't even know it. It would go onto the floor or wherever you're sitting. And if you're doing like it on your chair, it would be a bad time because then you could sit on it.
Yeah. Okay, now when we're gonna put the middle of the flower on, we always put the glue on the big thing. So if you have a piece of paper and you have a tiny little tile,
like as tiny as this little thing.
Yes. So do we put the glue on the tiny tile or on the big paper?
On the big paper.
Yeah.
One time.
Because sometimes when we want to glue stuff, we forget. And what happens is sometimes little children will squirt glue on this little tiny tile and then it burns their fingertips. And although it's not terrible, it's still, let's just avoid that. So you put the glue on the bigger thing, which would be here, in this case, on this paper. So, Violet, can you put glue right there? On the middle of that flower? There, so now the glue's on the big thing.
And then I'll put that there.
Perfect, you can put your tile on there.
Yeah.
And so can you squirt a little more glue on top of it? I'm gonna set mine.
I want to do it.
Okay, sit that on there. So if you sit it very carefully and just gently press it down, you won't get any glue on your finger. But the key is to put the glue on the bigger thing. And
if you had something like this, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like you could glue it on.
well, yeah, if it's a little bit bigger, then you probably won't get burned. But it's better to just always put the glue on the bigger thing.
Anything tinier than that, it has to be on the big thing.
For sure. But even small stuff, especially
Like this.
Especially if they're beginners.
If I just like glued like that, it would hurt.
Yeah.
Look at our masterpiece.
Yes. Okay, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope that you have so much fun.
Yeah.
We would recommend that all kids watch this video at least one time, maybe even twice, because there's a lot of wisdom from these long-time glue gun users here. You can learn so that you don't really get burned.
And just if you forgot, my name's Violet and I'm 4.
And we hope you guys have the best time with your glue gun.